The German man received his new uniform for the first time, but it had another man's name on the collar. So he returned the uniform. The officer removed the name tag. Paul smiled happily, not realizing that there were many more name tags piled up under the table. The so-called new uniform had been worn by other soldiers a few days before when those soldiers died in fierce battle. Their uniforms and shoes would be stripped off and packed to be sent back to the rear. The woman workers would wash away the bloodstains. The seamstresses would repair the tears. And finally, the old name tags would be cut off. The labels were often forgotten. Because of the sheer number of uniforms, the new uniforms were then distributed to the young Germans who had just graduated. Paul was so excited that he changed into the uniform. The next day, the recruits were eager to go into battle, but their smiles soon disappeared completely. French artillery fire came raining down on the troops. Paul scrambled to put on his gas mask. No sooner had the recruits reached the trenches than they were forced to use their helmets to scoop out the standing water inside the trenches. That night, Paul was sent to reconnoiter the front line, but after a flare went up, the enemy launched a heavy artillery attack. Paul quickly ducked into an anti-aircraft trench. At this moment, he was trembling severely and regretted his decision to join the army at all. After a brutal night, Paul was lucky to survive. But the trenches were littered with rotting corpses. He was ordered to collect the name tags of the dead. It was only then that he finally realized where his new uniform truly came from. 3 years later, Paul has become a hardened veteran. In the face of enemy fire, Paul was no longer afraid. He skillfully dodged the French bullets. The German soldiers quickly attacked the enemy trenches. Paul even found the enemy command post. Just as he was enjoying the French food, the table suddenly shook so violently that even the rats fled in panic. Paul sensed something was terribly wrong and immediately ran out to check. The terrifying sight in front of him froze him in his tracks. Several huge steel boxes were moving towards them. The bullets did nothing to stop the tanks from advancing rapidly. Soon the tanks launched a fierce attack on the Germans. Paul could only hide in the trench and shiver intensely, but the huge tanks still ruthlessly ran over their trenches. The German soldiers completely collapsed. They began to run away, panicking. After such a crushing defeat, the German government finally signed an armistice. Just when Paul thought he would finally be able to go home, an officer, for the sake of his own selfish honor, went so far as to order a final attack 1 hour before the armistice went into effect. At this point, Paul has long been numb to everything as lost souls, like the walking dead to the enemy forces. Eventually, Paul's name tag, like those of the fallen soldiers 3 years earlier, was taken by a new recruit.